Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're back yet again with another episode of Kingdom, episode 4. Now the last episode we got something of a glimpse of what we can come to expect from the outbreak, right? The bodies that were at the magistrate's office became reanimated at nightfall, began attacking the villagers, and of course they were forced to run away, made their way to the barracks where the magistrate's assistant hid behind the wall like the coward that he is, and forced the people back. And eventually Prince Chang became reunited with his guard, whose name I'm slowly beginning to learn, Mu-Young. Right, my Korean is horrible for obvious reasons, but he's back with his guard now. They managed to make some form of defense in a way, in terms of gathering the villagers and the soldiers that remained in an attempt to hide the bodies before nightfall. Well, an attempt at the very least, right? And the magistrate himself is, as I mentioned before, he's somewhat incompetent, and he seems to be relying on his assistant to do most of the heavy lifting. And in doing that, the assistant himself plotted behind his back and used the last remaining ship that were there, because the others apparently were attacked by the zombies in the night and were destroyed. So he took the only operable ship and took all the upperclassmen and women, and they took all the food and water that they could get, and they left the villagers there to die. No, he did tell the magistrate that, okay, the prince had actually left, because the magistrate, of course, being in fear of his own life, a bit selfish, to be fair. And his assistant made in his discussion with one of the guards on the ship, he made it no secret that, hey, as long as we are we are backing the right people, which at the moment he doesn't believe to be the prince, but instead the Cho clan. So as long as we are backing the right family, we will be good. And essentially, the prince has already said we're dead. So hey, let's go to the other team, right? So he won't be losing any sleep and leaving them there to die, right? So the villagers are there. The prince is at the very least there with them to try to keep them safe somehow. I don't imagine they'll be able to bury and burn all those bodies before nightfall. But the prince also has his eyes set towards recruiting this war hero that everyone now seems to be concerned about. News got back to Cho Hak-cho about the prince's intention to actually make contact with this war hero, who they believe, with him on their side, the people of the country will follow. Now, Cho Hak-ju seems to be fairly confident that this man will not betray him and under any circumstances. And I theorize that it had something to do with the previous war, where he hinted that this outbreak has happened before, but we don't know how it ended. And I believe that these two men do know a whole lot more about this outbreak. It may have happened before, and they somehow figured out how to stop it. The difference being that Cho Hak-ju is now using it as a weapon to usurp power for himself. Right? I believe the war hero is Hye-Jun or something like that. Right? So that seems to be where the prince is. The prince has set his sights on where he wants to head to get an alliance with this war veteran. The problem now is he may have to make a choice between staying and helping the villagers and chasing after this war hero. And it would be interesting to see how he decides, because one of the themes running through from season episode 1 to now 4, I imagine, is going to be the prince's evolving, so to speak, from episode 1 to now. We've seen him in situations where he's that bratty prince who just gets his own way, and we've seen him change so far. And in the last episode, he seemed to genuinely care about the people. I believe initially he was attempting to usurp power for himself, selfishly, right, to ensure that he was safe in the event that the queen actually came to power and decided to do away with him. But he has now been with the villagers, traveled with them, lived with them, and I think he's becoming a better man than his father was, a better leader than his father was. So that character's development is something is one of the things I'm most interested to see throughout this season. All right, so that's it. We're now at episode 4, so let's check it out. Given a choice, if there's an outbreak, the leaders of the country would pretty much save themselves and abandon us. Yeah. So,
것이냐? 군사들을 지휘할 지휘관들과 동네를 책임진 높은 분들 모두 저 배에 올라 떠났습니다. 시신 처리도 제대로 하지 않고.
피할 만한 곳을 찾아야 한다.
군영요. 어젯밤 그 군영이면 이들과 같이 피하실 수 있을 겁니다.
저기 배를 수리한다고 군용 목적을 헐어버렸습니다.
지유런입니다. 며칠씩이나 나오지 못한 곳이니
back to the clinic.
들어오지도 못할 것입니다.
That's risky.
티우런으로 간다. 걸을 수 있는 자들은 걷고.
I'm sorry, he's a better man than I am because I would be running for the hills and leaving everyone behind. I'm sorry, it's a zombie apocalypse. It's survival of the
주변을 살피시오. 늦으면 바로 문 닫아.
안쪽으로 들어가.
거기를 돕더라. 좋아. 괜찮습니까?
Stop looking.
가져갑니다. 저것들이 깨어나고 있습니다.
And the time you spent talking.
난 절대로 이들을
He's
버리지 않을
different from the
것이다.
whole time.
가져오시오.
Damn it. Didn't the gate just fall down? I hope they fixed it. Even if they did, there's no way it's gonna hold back that hole. I need to barricade it somehow. One zombie just the cars behind the gates. Those bamboo shoots that they have on the buildings, it was designed to keep them from escaping, not from getting in, so they're pointed down inwards.
한양 다음으로 큰 도읍으로서 우리를 지켜줄 군사들이 널렸으니 걱정 안 하셔도 됩니다.
Yeah, the last episode we
해가 떴습니다, 저.
scattering.
떴습니다.
He probably hasn't slept either.
좋아. 잠깐 들어가도 되겠습니까?
들어오거라.
으하, 감사합니다. 저희를 살려주셔서 감사합니다. 감사합니다.
저들에게 죽어라.
좋아.
괜찮다. 난 이제 지겹구나.
자, 아들 이쪽으로 오시오. 이쪽으로 오시오. 야, 커졌어. 커졌다.
Is it safe this time? There are no bodies in it.
백성들이 아주 좋아합니다. 백성이 조총 쏘는 법은 어찌 아느냐.
Keen observation.
전란 중에 군역을 치르면서 배운 것입니다.
피어오르는 괴물의 미간을 정확히 적중시켰다. 군역을 지는 하급 군졸의 솜씨가 아니다. 너 누구냐?
Can't catch a break.
대역죄인 대장 이청은 들어라. 반향으로 합송되어 조사를 받아야 할 죄인은 지엄한 왕명을 어기고 선전.
Is he gonna give himself up? No, they'll barge in. And no remorse for all the people that you killed. Just how many bullets does he have, though?
조총부대는 나와 함께 들어가고 나머지는 이곳을 지킨다.
Behind you. Oh, that was the guard. I'm telling you, man, Woo Young's a badass.
입구다.
Already dead.
주변을 살펴라.
당했습니다.
이쪽이다.
They're the ones whistling. I guess being, well, yeah, they sent a signal to notify everyone what's happening.
봉화가 올랐습니다.
봉화가 올랐다면서요. 전란입니까? 또 왜고가
대작대가 말씀이 옳습니다. 나도 전화를 빼야겠습니다.
아이고 저
대감 어디 가시오?
강령전 가신다고 합니다.
강령전이요?
예.
대감 같이 가시지요.
이놈! 그래도 전화가 보고 싶으셨어.
대감, 전 절대 안 된다고 말렸거늘.
Hey, coward.
당연히 이 나라를 이끄시는 그종 중신들 아니십니까? 비켜라. 다 같이 전화를 뵈러 가.
지금 뭐더라는 겁니까?
이 나라 조선 땅 만백성의 어버이신 지엄한 왕이십니다.
왜 죽은 군주가 실려 나오는 게 모두 이 병 때문이었던 것입니까?
그렇다면요. 역병으로 이성 내 아들을 죽인 세자와 세자를 따르는 무리들 모두 다 처참히 죽일 것이다. 그 일을 방해하는 자들 모두
Your precious son, yet you're so willing to take away other sons and daughters from their.
그것이 네가 해야 할 일이야.
걱정하지 마십시오. 오라버니를 대신할 해원 조 씨의 아이, 왕실의 대를 이을 아들을 내가 낳아드리겠습니다.
So there we have it, episode 4 of season 1 of Kingdom. I am now affirmed in my belief that the Cho clan did in fact have the king, not necessarily the resurrection flower, but the disease, the pox that he caught before that made him ill in the first place. I believe confidently now that this was in fact their doing, and perhaps based on what I've seen here so far, how far they are willing to go. And it may have been a situation where they infected him with the pox in order to eventually kill him, but he perhaps died a lot sooner than they had planned, and so they had no choice but to go the route of the resurrection plant in order to keep him alive. All right. Cho Hye-Jun seems to be pissed now because his son got killed, and he seems to have killed the messenger who brought the head to him, which is that's just mean. All right. But he claims that he's gonna, throw his entire wrath, bring his entire wrath down upon the prince for what he has done, and the queen should not get in his way because he didn't put her there, so she could get in his way. So it's clear that this has been a plan in the making for a very long time, right? Okay, I have a daughter. I'm going to ensure that she engages to the king himself, and then has a son. He's so adamant. He keeps telling her, "You will have a son. You will have a son," as though it's that easy to just decide whether it's a boy or a girl. And because they keep pressing this issue, I do believe that they're going to run into something. She may end up having a girl, or something to that effect may happen later on, to throw a wrench in their plans. I don't think it's just going to go that smoothly, all right? But at this point, there's no one there to challenge them and anything that they say. He's essentially just done away with the only only advisor who was openly against what he's been doing, and he played that quite brilliantly, actually. As I said before, sometimes the truth it can be a lot harder to accept than a lie would be, and in this instance. He put them in a position where he manipulated the truth to some extent, but they weren't in a position to go back to the people and say, hey, the king is a zombie, without acknowledging that they did actually see the king, they did actually meet the king. He is moving, he's mobile, but does that actually mean that he is in fact the king? They don't know the specific specific details of the affliction, and clearly Cho Hye-Jun does, so he knows that the king is now just a mindless corpse, right? But he just spinned that to say, okay, he's afflicted with a disease, and he's gone mad and craving human flesh, but he is still the king. And they don't have any laws or anything like that to say that, okay, the king is in this state, so he needs to be deposed or anything like that. So they still have to recognize that it is the king, even if he's afflicted with some disease. But so they're in a position where they have to either back Cho Hye-Jun or go the opposite direction, which in this instance it seems to be one or the other. Either you're with him or it's treason. So the other three, they didn't have much of they had a choice, but it was that or go against him and be charged with treason as well. And at this point, he's now in a position where he can say confidently that the king is there. He no longer has to hide the fact that something is wrong with the king. I don't think he'll show the king to the public. I actually would not be surprised if that did in fact happen, right? People revered the crown so much that they would just accept it, just as the advisors did here. And this also means now that the prince has lost the only other ally that he has in the palace, because that advisor is dead. All the other scholars that were supporting him were apparently executed too. So he now literally has nothing, right? And going back to the prince himself, we saw where, and that gave us some hope at the very beginning of the episode, where he was willing to, he wasn't willing to abandon the people, the villagers, to save himself. And that the villagers saw that. I mean, there's still some survivors. So I'm hoping is that in the end, these people, the word will spread that okay, this is the kind of man he is, and this is the kind of person that we should be supporting. And the people that came from the palace actually attempted to kill us, right? And so he showed us how much he has changed, and he said it when he was pushing the cart towards the clinic that he won't abandon them. He doesn't want. He wants to be better than these people, than the Cho clan, and so he absolutely would not abandon them. And I was worried for a minute there that we would actually lose Mu-young, and because he's become one of my favorite characters now, and more so as time goes on. I mean, his conversation, he was taking in every little thing, observing everything. And even his conversation with the army veteran there, he's like, "You're not just a soldier. Right? The way you shot down that zombie that was just charging ahead of you, point blank in his head. You're clearly more skilled than you're letting on." So there is. Every character seems to have a backstory, something hidden, right? It's as if they have two masks, and it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. My quarrel with the veteran himself being that he was quick to throw blame on the prince, saying this is all because of you. But at the same time, the outbreak did start because he fed a body to the people in the clinic, and while he was trying to help. That is partly his responsibility, right? And again, as I said before, the argument can be made that the outbreak would have happened regardless because, one, Cho Hak-ju seems to be feeding people to the king and dumping them in the nearby river. At some point, that's probably going to come back and bite him in the ass. And even if the veteran didn't feed the corpse to the people, I imagine that the body they would have buried him, and he would have crawled back out at some point. The disease at that point seemed to have been moving a lot slower, but I imagine he would have been reanimated and crawled out and attacked someone around, and it would have spread regardless. But still, there is still some responsibility on him for escalating it as quickly as it became, right? So. I mean, they managed to fend off the zombies only to have to deal with the guards from the palace, and they handled them brilliantly as well, thanks to the veteran and the guard himself, who knew their signals and cues and was able to confuse the hell out of them while the veteran picked them off one by one. And I'm still interested to see how skilled he is. I mean, the veteran himself, we've seen him move. I mean, he's very agile. He jumping from here and there, and obviously very good with the rifle. So we're more and more seeing the skills that he was recruited for in whatever special unit he was in, and they are going to need it. So I am apprehensive, just as the guard is. So I don't trust him all that much either. But they do need skilled persons on their team, right? So they have, it's like playing an RPG game, right? You have the swordsman, you have the main character who's the lead, who has some special abilities, who would be the prince. You have the prince's guard, who's maybe like the tank or something like that, and you have the healer, who everyone hates but knows that they actually need, in the female physician there, COB or COBI, however that's pronounced. But so we have our ragtag group of people to take on the zombie apocalypse, and the people attempting to usurp power for themselves. So I mean, that aside, now they've handled everything that has come at them, but the biggest hurdle now is to actually get to Hye-Jun, the war hero, to try to get some support, and they do need it now that Cho Hak-ju is coming at them with full force, with all his rage, and coming from the death of his son, and so they have to make haste to get there. So it's a bit of a downer that many people had to die in the village. We did get some, I don't know, I'm tending not to. I don't even care about them that much by the end of the episodes. But the upperclassmen and aristocrats that left on the ship, and we got some satisfaction from seeing them get their dues for abandoning the people in the first place. And the lady's son that she was carrying around, she released him from the chest, and he attacked everyone on the ship. And I'm assuming she was infected as well and ended up attacking people. Now, if they had more people on the ship with them, perhaps, just perhaps, they might have been able to subdue just two zombies. But of course they didn't, so they abandoned everyone, and we don't quite know what the outcome of that is just yet. We saw them being attacked, and some people might have jumped ship, and so we don't know whether or not they're all dead or if anyone survived. I'm not quite certain how the zombies in this world operate in water. All right, we've seen where they have dumped bodies in the water, so it doesn't kill them, but they're still alive under it. But we don't know if they can swim or anything like that. We did have one scene, I think last episode, where the prince fell when they were swimming away, and the prince and the guard, and you could see them underwater. And I think maybe they were sinking. So maybe I remember correctly, they might have been sinking. So I don't think they can swim. So that's something that can use they can use as an advantage. But so now they're headed towards Hye-Jun. They no longer have the villagers, and that may be a good thing. At the very least, they don't have to worry about protecting them. And the prince himself is now a target, and the palace, of course, is not hesitant to kill anyone with him. So it's probably for the better that he separate himself from the villagers and just travel with those people. All right, so there you have it, season 1, episode 4. Absolutely loving the series so far. I am definitely looking forward to the next episodes and the next season to follow. Be sure to post down in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are about this episode, and I'll see you guys next time.